Hola, this is Rose Genevieve,
Hi, I'm Matt Anderson.
and we are at Charmcity Film Productions, where we will be learning about casting.
Okay, stand by and rolling. Okay.
So you're reading for Vanessa, right?
Yeah.
So we're doing Vanessa. Are you ready? Are you ready? Everyone's ready? Okay, so I'm gonna hit record. Please say your name to the camera, and then you can begin.
Okay.
Good? All right.
I'll be reading your side with you. Just so you
Oh, okay, great. Okay.
And I'll be recording now.
My name
You
is.
should not be adding any more people.
No, we should not, no. Some people requested that, but
Tina, or she goes by, she's slated as Christina Williams.
Okay.
She is on the list as Tina Day.
Oh,
it's, yeah, she wanted to make a name, so that's for that. But no, some people requested, well, I can't, can I make it later on?
Come in.
Not here. Stupid, no, almond milk is non-dairy. Why the fuck would I say that? Why the fuck would anyone say that? I'm so fucking stupid. Here we go again.
Hey, boss, I'm doing interviews to find out everyone makes it through this job.
How many drinks have you had? You couldn't even wait for everyone to get you first?
Looks like you yeah. Take two.
There's some enthusiasm on that one.
Okay. Alright,
Action.
looks like you activated my face down trap card, mother. You'll be banished to the shadow realm.
Thanks.
There you go.
That's that one. Now-
Okay, so now what else do you want to read?
We'll go to the next page, which is page 4. You'll read from the top, which is now I have you where I want you.
Go.
And then we'll read down to Violet's line of I will not sit here while you blaspheme the Father.
So Charmcity has actually been around for years. It was started by a couple that have since moved to Florida. I took over the group because it had been a while since I'd been on set, and I wanted to get back into film. And the single most frustrating thing about film, personally, is how many people are required to make it work. You can't, well, you can, but it's very difficult to make a film all by yourself. And I had met so many people who wanted to make a film. They had the script that they've clutched to their chest for years and never been able to do anything with. And so I wanted to be in a position where anyone who really was serious about making a film could make a film. And so I took over Charmcity Group about 2 years ago. And what I've been doing is bringing in these people with their freshman script, with their first try, and setting up the resources, doing the casting calls, making that available so that they can make their film. This is now the second wave. We did another wave last year. It's 8 filmmakers, and each one of them will be making for the most part, be making the very first film they've ever made. So the whole idea is to enable them, frankly.
And what what kind of selection process was there to pick this particular stories and directors?
Okay. So everybody has to, I try to make the bar as low as humanly possible. Because in an earlier incarnation, Charmcity, the people who were originally running it were people who were looking to make movies that were fun and cool and sexy and interesting according to their criteria. And that meant a lot of people who had decent enough films just weren't being allowed to make it. So I keep the bar as low as possible. We make the films as close to as free as possible. Basically, the directors just have to pay for props, costumes, that sort of thing. There is no script I won't take. I don't want to make it about whether or not it's a good script or I like it or don't like it. Having said that, I gotta say, I mean, again, this is the second time I've done it. The scripts have been really interesting. Not necessarily things I would personally write, but certainly things that were interesting, fun to film, fun to do. So if you were willing to show up and write the piece, direct the piece, produce the piece, edit the piece, run around and do all the pre-production, location scouting and such, that's it. That's the only bar you have to meet.
So for that young director or young writer who hasn't realize that there's such an opportunity like this, or is in school right now and trying to figure out, okay, how do I bring my idea or vision to light? what would your suggestions, recommendations, advice be?
Well, the easiest piece of advice I could give is just join the Charm City meetup and start coming to the meetings. But let me say this seriously, especially for the people who've never done this before, whether you've been in film school or not. The single most important thing I can say about making film is I believe, the only real way to get really, really good at making films is to make films. And so come here, make that easy film, then make another one, then make another one. If you don't have access to something like this or whatever, then write that first script. Show it to your friends, then write another script. And you know what I mean? And continue to build. I find that every successful project teaches you things about filmmaking that you didn't see in the beginning. My first wave, the ones that did last year, are now in their final post-production editing phase, and they now know so much more about what it takes to put together a film than they did 6 months ago. And I know I'm going to get the exact same thing with this new crop of filmmakers. There's something about actually finishing the film from beginning to end that tells you about filmmaking in a way that I never could explain, a book could never explain, a video could never explain. Make the films. I don't care how crappy they are. Just get you and your friend and a GoPro and go, run around the woods for an hour, maybe a few hours, but just make it. Have it suck. Seriously, it's okay. Have it suck, then make another one based off what you learned on the first one. Then another one, then another one. As long as you stick to it, you are inevitably going to get
I am one of the casting directors for the Charm City Filmmakers that is located in Baltimore. I coordinate and organize all the casting auditions thus far for the 9 short films that they're doing in the spring.
So, can you tell me about these 9 short films, or just kind of give me the broad strokes?
Well, they're going to be shot probably in March and April. Some are different genres, so whether it's some are horror, some are comedy, some are drama, some are maybe a couple suspense. But yeah, and these are, majority of them are inspire-making filmmakers that this is actually their first film that they're directing.
Okay, so is this how did this project come about?
Well, for Wes Shimada, the guy I worked with for about 2 years, he actually was working in film for about 20 years, and each year he's producing and helping up-and-coming filmmakers, like I said, making their dream come true for that. So. Okay.
What do you consider yourself primarily? Are you a director, a writer?
Primarily, I'm a writer.
Okay. And what have you written?
I've written two short vignettes that we filmed last year, and I'm working on editing one of them this year. So they were 2 short pieces, short vignettes, and they were like some type of horror, thriller, suspense for that. So, and I'm working on 2 other short films that I'm going to be bringing out this year.
Okay. All right. How did you get into writing? Were you writing started as a child? Was it you were in a workshop?
So matter of fact, I didn't even. It was just weird. The person that actually made me pick up the pen was R.L. Stine, so I'm definitely a big fan of his. I've been reading his work since I was 12. I'm not a big fan of his Goosebumps, but I love his Fear Street series. So, but he definitely inspired me to just pick up the pen and just write. So.
Okay, and we're rolling. Please introduce yourself.
Hey now, my name is Michael Parent, and I am a director.
Okay, are you sure about that? Because does the look on your face is like, I think I'm a director?
I am now.
Okay.
This will be the first film that I'm directing, The King of Games, and I'm very excited to kind of bring one of my own personal stories to light.
Okay, so tell us about what your role is as a director.
So, as a director, I kind of just want to shed light a little bit more on stories that I think are very important or are kind of being underrepresented in film right now. So a lot of that has to do with parents, families, mental illness, and especially like shedding a little bit more light on roles for people of color.
And do you do anything else besides directing?
So other than directing, I'm a corporate trainer, so I spend a lot of time in my regular everyday today, like so the Clark Kent side of what I do, in offices and doing training for different businesses. And primarily I spend a little bit more time in my free time, just reading up on all kinds of stuff, catching up on my Game of Thrones and playing a lot of video games, which this last year has been pretty stacked.
So, what made you decide that you wanted to be a director as opposed to a writer or an actor, or have you done those and this is your transition into directing?
So this film, I will be writing, or I have written. I will also be directing and producing. So a lot of it is just like taking on a lot of hats kind of all at once. So trying my hand at a lot of different things to see where I fit, the best.
And exactly what is your directorial style? Are you more, do you tell people what you want, or do you let it more flow organically, or are you kind of combination?
So a lot of my writing comes from both personal experience and a little bit of the fantastical nature of some of these things. So I take a lot of regular everyday circumstance and kind of take it to its logical extreme. So I like to let the actors kind of be themselves and kind of become the roles. They're written in a way that if they can very believably transition, then I've done my job as a writer and a director. I don't really have to do much.
Now, what is more important for you, the visual or the focus on the characters? When you're looking through the camera lens or looking at the scene, what do you focus on?
So in my world, copy is king. So the writing is the most important part. I believe that with very strong writing, those characters can kind of come to life on their own. So the visuals and kind of everything else falls into place if the acting is kind of very well executed because of the writing.
Joy? Shh, it's late. Are you?
Hey, you're a rich girl and you've gone too far, cause you know it don't.
Shh, people are sleeping. Joy, come here.
Oh my gosh, you're right. I'm sorry. You're the prettiest person I've ever seen.
It's Tuesday. Where have you been?
I left my stuff at that. You smell so good.
You don't have your things.
I don't need anything. I'm a minimalist. I'm sorry. I had a wee bit too much to drink. Ah! No, don't go. Don't go.
I'm right here. I'm just gonna keep reading.
Read to me, please.
Hello? You're what? You're close to here, as in the school. 5 minutes. Really? No, that's fine. I'm excited. I'll come let you in. Okay, bye.
Can I help you at all? You okay?
Yeah, it's fine. My parents are they're very conservative.
You want me to take that down?
No, of course not.
No. Julie, I get it. I'll take it down.
No, it's not like that.
No, I understand. Please don't explain. I knew we were going to have this moment.
No, Joy, I promise, I don't.
I can handle a little homophobia.
It's not homophobia.
Okay, it just seems kind of like
I'm
you're...
gay.
What?
I'm gay.
What? No.
All right, go ahead. If you can look right at this big lens right here for me, please. Okay. All right, we are rolling. Please introduce yourself.
I'm Emily Klassen.
Okay, hi Emily. All right.
Hi.
All right. So, tell us what you're here for today.
I'm here to audition for 3 separate films as a part of this project: Quakers, Appearances, and Office Party were the 3 I auditioned for today.
Okay. All right. And how did you get into acting?
Gee, I started with theater. I do mainly theater acting. I'm a local performer in Baltimore, but when I was like 12 or 13, I did like grammar school, and then I started community theater, and eventually went to college for it. So, yeah, I'm a vet.
All right. And what's some of the plays you've done?
Let's see, some of my favorites. I played Maureen in Rent. I played Miranda in The Tempest. Those are 2 that come to mind I just love. I did Rachel in One Man, Two Governors. let's see, what have I done in Baltimore? I originated a role in Baltimore with the Baltimore Rock Opera Society. I played Lot in The Brides of Tortuga. That was a really, really bomb role. I loved doing that one, so that was great.
Okay. So, what type of actor are you? Are you a method actor, or are you do you just read the script and just learn it?
I'm not method. We learned a couple different techniques in school. I've kind of just combine the techniques to, form a process that works for me. I do a lot of Lugering technique, which is a movement and voice technique. It's all about kind of starting with the breath and taking on certain elements of a character. I believe strongly that obviously you portray someone different, but your body is the only one you have. You can't just give yourself another body, so you have to start with yourself and then build a character from there. That's how I kind of view it.
Okay. And what kind of career are you looking for? Are you looking to do mostly theater? Are you looking to do
theater and film? I love it all. Like I said, I do everything from musicals to Shakespeare. I'm looking to work. I want to be a working actor. That's kind of I want to be.
All right. Okay. And we're good.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right.
Thanks so much.
For Charmcity Films, just local film productions.
Okay. And so how did you get into acting?
I got into acting when I was about 3 years old. My parents owned a restaurant, and I had to spend most of my days at my grandmother's school, where she was director of a theater.
Okay, so you got your start in the theater.
I did, yeah.
Yeah. What plays have you done?
So many. Everything from Annie was my first one to a bunch of devised pieces that I developed in England.
In England?
Yeah, I studied abroad there my junior year of college. And at Exeter University, fantastic program, got to devise a lot of works, and it was mostly student-driven.
All right, what kind of actor are you? Are you a method actor?
No, I would say I combine a lot of things, mostly physical. I have a little bit of a dance background, so anything that I start with is usually starting with the body and then developing from there.
And what kind of acting career are you looking for? Are you looking to do mostly stage, screen, movies, TV, anything?
I'm looking for anything that I can get work in.
And tell us about your dance background.
Dance background, well, I was really heavy as a little kid. Started dancing in college, starting with ballet, and then suddenly I found aerial dance was being taught at my school. So I learned how to do aerial trapeze and silks. And that's what I kind of stuck with from then on.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. All right. That was easy, huh?
Yeah, super easy.
Hey, I'm Levi Reed, and I guess I'm a director.
You guess you're a director. You're not sure.
I guess so. I see myself as more of a storyteller first. Just so happens that I tell other people what to do in order to make my story.
And how did you, what are we here for today?
We're doing casting for my short film, Off Guard. And, yeah, going so far, so good. We're going to be doing callbacks here in this next week. I'm optimistic about it.
And can you give us a little bit about your story? You're kind of keeping that under wraps until it shoots.
Under wraps, indeed. It's a monster story.
All right.
Three security guards fight a mummy. So that's the basics of it.
And so, how did you become a director? I mean, was this a natural transition? Is this your first time?
Well, yeah, this is my first time really directing things. I've always loved movies. I've loved storytelling and filmmaking and everything. When I was showed Star Wars and Indiana Jones as a kid, I wanted to make movies. So I've written before, I do music and that sort of thing, and when I heard about this group, when I could finally have a chance to have real actors and real equipment, it's like, why not? Of course.
And this group, what are you referring to?
Oh, I'm working with the Charmcity Productions, and they've been amazing so far.
So what kind of director do you consider yourself? Are you a visual director? Do you focus more on the characters and the story? What is your style?
That's a good question. I think it's important that you have a mix of both, but if I would have to say, I would go with characters. Because a film can have spectacular visuals. A lot of these big summer blockbusters have things that are amazing to look at, but a lot of their characters fall flat. So I think character is incredibly important in order to make a movie what it is. So I'd say I'm a bit more character driven.
Now, are you the type of director that basically says, do it this way, or do you prefer more organic, let the actors find their way?
I like to help an actor along. I think that certain actors can fall into the correct mindset I need, and that's kind of how I cast with them. How do I think, when I look at you and how you act and all of your mannerisms, could you be this person? And then I direct them within that. So I would say I'm somewhere in the middle.
Now, you know that the Baltimore, the DMV area has a very almost somewhat unknown acting and film and television production.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, people know that House of Cards was filmed here in Joppa, and of course, you know, your conspiracy thrillers are all filmed in DC and things like that. What do you think is the biggest untapped potential of this area that could draw in other filmmakers and directors like yourself?
I mean, with this area, you can get literally anything out here. So much of it, because with Baltimore, you have such a crazy looking cityscape. You can find any type of people that you want. If you can think of a type of person, they're here. It's very broad. With the cityscapes, you could do crime dramas, you could do slice of life. Just outside the city, there's enough suburban areas that you could do something more rural. It's the variety of it. It's the fact that you could do pretty much anything you want in this area if you're just willing to look for it.
Now, you said you wrote this, your segment that you're doing?
I did.
So tell me a little bit about the type of writer you are. Are you know, you do mention that characters are important, so, you know, is that more your focus is the character, or is it more on trying to tell a story, you know, in the hope that, you know, did the characters write themselves based on the story, or did the story base itself upon the characters, or how did you write? What's your writing process?
The way that I come up with a story is I think of an idea. Take, for instance, with this, it's a mummy. Mummies have been done 100 times. Everyone does mummies. But I start from the place of, what if we did this thing, but a little different? So I start from a place of story, write in characters that sound a lot like people I've met throughout my life. And then as I read through more and I write more, the characters grow into their own. So it really is in service to the story, but I think any good writer will tell you that their characters grow into something else as they move along. Bill Watterson said that about when he was writing the comic strip Calvin and Hobbes, that they just became something else, where he would say, this character wouldn't say that, or this character wouldn't say that, because they have completely gone beyond his scope, and he knew who they were, even though he would say, I'm the writer, I want to put them in this situation, where they've just grown. And I think that it's important that they work within the story, but that they're organic enough that they can be their own thing.
So what would you recommend for the kid that's in school right now, or the acting student, or the you know, somebody in theater school or something? What would you advice or suggestions you would give them in order to help them realize that dream of telling a story and presenting the characters like you're doing?
Just do it. I mean, because I was that guy, and I'm still technically that guy, but it's like every story that you have in your head, it might not be perfect. It It might not be the most refined thing in the world, but take it to its natural conclusion. Bounce it off people. Tell people about it. See what they think. When you've finished with it, when you've powered through, give it to someone you trust. Have them read through it. Just every story that goes untold is a bit of a loss, because you have a perspective that can be given to this world, be it in a movie or a book or a TV show or something. You have something to say, and only you can say it. So give it a shot. It's the worst thing that could happen.
And that is it. And that's excellent. Oh, love that answer. Love it. Excellent.
All right, you about ready?
Yes.
All right, okay. And we're rolling. Okay, so please introduce yourself.
I am Cynthia Almeida. I am from Brazil. I've been in the US for a few years, and I just started acting. I am taking some classes and going to auditions and trying to get some experience. So instead of being behind the set, so I'll be in front of the set.
All right, and what are you here for today?
I'm here to audition for a few short films here in Baltimore.
I'm gonna hold this for a second.
The background is a little too much contrast too. A little bit more quiet.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Rose Genevieve, and this is Matt Anderson, my technical advisor for Behind the Set, and we are here at Charmcity Film Productions. Hola, I'm Rose Genevieve, and I am Hi, I'm Rose Genevieve, and this is Matt Anderson, my technical advisor for Behind the Set.
Oh shit.
Hola, this is Rose Genevieve, and I am with Matt Anderson, who will be asking a few questions. Hola, I'm Rose Genevieve, and I am with Matt Anderson, my technical advisor for Behind the Set.
Hello. Oh.
Hi, I'm Rose Genevieve, and this is my technical advisor, Matthew Anderson.
Hi.
We are at Charmcity Film Productions, producing a cast. Producing a cast. One. So what did you learn today?
Well, I learned that I learned nothing today.
So what did you learn today?
Well, I learned about Charmcity Film Productions. It's a really great place for aspiring writers, directors, and actors to kind of get a leg up in the entertainment industry. They're very passionate about what they do, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what they come up with.
Awesome.